Tonight's story is one that still gives me chills whenever I think about it. It was shared with me by a woman named Lena, a quiet, private person who moved to a peaceful Ohio suburb looking for a fresh start. What she experienced in that house is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. So sit back, turn off the lights, and listen closely. This is her story. Lena was 27 when she bought her first home. It sat on a quiet street in a small Ohio suburb, nestled between rows of modest two-story houses with neatly trimmed lawns and pastel-painted shutters. It was the kind of neighborhood where people left their porch lights on all night and waved when you drove by. Safe, predictable, or at least it looked that way. Lena had grown up in the city. Her move to the suburbs was meant to be a fresh start, a quieter life after years of city chaos. She worked remotely, had no family nearby, and hoped the solitude would bring her peace. But across the street from her new home stood a house in disrepair. Its paint was cracked and fading, the lawn wild and unkempt, hedges curling over the walkway like claws. There was always something off about it. Windows covered with old floral curtains, a sagging roof, and a driveway that hadn't seen a car in years. It looked abandoned until you noticed the second-floor window. That's where the old man stood. The first time Lena saw him, it was midnight. She was getting water from her kitchen and happened to glance out the window. Across the street, behind the cracked glass of the top floor, was a silhouette. An elderly man, standing still, his pale face barely lit by the streetlight glow. He wasn't doing anything, just watching. She blinked, and he was gone. At first, she brushed it off. Maybe it was a shadow or a trick of the light. Maybe he lived there and she hadn't noticed him before. But it happened again the next night. Same time, same window, same unmoving stare. Every time she looked, he was there. Lena mentioned it to her neighbor, Mrs. Caldwell, a widowed woman in her 70s who had lived on the street for over 40 years. She chuckled nervously at the mention of the man. "Don't wave at him," Mrs. Caldwell said. Lena laughed. "Why would I wave at someone just staring at me? The family who lived in your house before you, they waved back one night. The next week, they left. Didn't even sell. Just vanished." Lena pressed for more, but the old woman refused to elaborate. She just muttered about people not respecting boundaries anymore. Things escalated slowly. A few nights later, Lena was awoken by soft tapping at her bedroom window. Tap, tap, tap. Her room was on the second floor, and the thought of someone, or something, tapping from the outside made her stomach turn. She peeked through the blinds but saw nothing. The next morning, she noticed muddy prints on the sill. Barefoot. Human. She installed motion lights the same day. Bought cameras. Told herself it was probably teenagers playing pranks. The suburb had its fair share of high school kids. Maybe it was harmless. But the lights never turned on. The cameras recorded nothing. And the tapping didn't stop. It moved. First the bedroom window, then the kitchen, then the glass door in the back. Always around 2 a.m., always soft, like someone testing her patience. Then came the footsteps. They started one night when she couldn't sleep. She was reading in bed when she heard it, creaking from the hallway. Not the occasional pop of an old house, but steady steps. She got out of bed, holding her phone like a weapon, and opened the door. The hallway was empty, but on the hardwood floor, more muddy prints. They led to the attic. Lena didn't sleep that night. She sat with her back against the wall, a knife in her lap, and every light on in the house. In the morning, she called the police. They searched everything. No signs of forced entry. The attic was empty. She showed them the prints. They said maybe it was her imagination. Maybe she made them by accident. Maybe a raccoon. Lena knew better. The next day, she left for a hotel. Just for a few nights, she told herself. She needed rest, distance. But even at the hotel, she felt watched. In the reflection of the elevator mirror, she thought she saw him. A flash, gone before she could turn. After 2 nights away, she returned. Everything seemed normal. She even started to believe she might have imagined it all. Until the final night. It began with silence. No taps, no creaks, just dead, unnatural quiet. Then the power went out. She grabbed her phone, turned on the flashlight, and walked to the breaker in the basement. Halfway down the stairs, she heard breathing, heavy, wheezing, not her own. She froze. Then, movement. Behind her, she ran. Up the stairs, into the living room, heart pounding. And there he was, standing at the center of the room. The same old man, eyes black as coal, skin sagging and gray, wearing the same tattered sweater he always had in the window. But now he was inside. Lena screamed. She threw her phone, ran barefoot out into the street. Neighbors came out. Someone called 911. By the time the police arrived, the house was locked. No sign of entry, no footprints, no intruder. Everything perfectly in place. They didn't believe her, but Mrs. Caldwell did. When Lena told her everything, the old woman just nodded slowly. That's how it happens. He waits, and when you finally see him inside, it's over. Lena sold the house within the month, took a massive loss, moved into a third-floor apartment in the city. No basement, no yard, no windows that faced other homes. Years later, she still doesn't know who he was, or what he wanted. But some nights, in the quiet moments before sleep, she hears it again. Tap, tap, tap. And sometimes, just before she closes her eyes, she swears she sees him, reflected in the glass, watching, waiting, and she knows he's not done. Not yet. If you found this story chilling, consider liking the video and subscribing for more disturbing true horror stories.